So here we have a quadratic inequality, and you guys have done inequalities before. So you know that coming down the pipe a little bit, we're going to have some kind of number line and some kind of shading, or maybe we'll use some interval notation that we learned earlier this year. But these are going to have more than one x's involved. So unlike before where you would try to get one side, like try to isolate the x, here we really want one side to equal 0, and then we want to kind of focus on where the zeros of this thing happen, or what values of x will make this thing actually equal 0. So looking at this, we've had a couple bits of experience with this now. You guys should recognize that if x equals 3, then this will be 0 and this will be 5, and 0 times 5 would equal 0. So 3 is a point of interest. I'm going to put that on my number line. And another point of interest would be whatever value of x makes this part equal 0. So that would be -2. And again, if x is -2, then this becomes a -5, that becomes a 0, and then we're back at 0. And you'll see why 0 is kind of important in just a couple moments. At this point, we might as well figure out, too, if we want to put open or closed circles on these numbers. Because this inequality is more than or equal to 0, and these values make it actually equal 0, we do want to include them in our answer. So we'll use closed circles on these parts. Now for the shading piece. How are we going to figure out the way to shade? We're going to do a little thing called sign analysis. And what we're going to do, I don't really care. This is why we want to use the 0 over here on this side. I don't want to figure out actual values and actual numbers. I just want to figure out if things are positive or negative. Because if I know that this side is positive, then I know it's more than 0. If the side is negative, then it's less than 0. And since these are multiplied together, I can just use my rules about multiplying positive and negative numbers to figure this out. And what we're going to do is, like, basically pick a number anywhere on this side of -2. You could pick like -3. You can pick -5. I like to pick -10 billion, or something just really huge. And the reason why I do that is because if I look at this part, I'm going to look at each piece of this thing separately. And for this region, if x is really, really negative, like -10 billion, and I subtract 3, it's still a negative number. So I'm going to put a little minus sign here to remind me of that. If I take a number like -10 billion and add 2, it's still a negative number. So what happens is this expression for numbers over here will definitely be some negative times some other negative, and a negative times a negative is positive. So all the numbers over here, regardless of what I pick, when I put them in this inequality, they're going to give me a positive answer, for sure. Then I'm going to pick a number in this region, in between these two guys. Now in this case, the best thing to probably pick would be 0, because it's easy to work with. I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I'm going to take that 0, I'm going to plug it in over here, and again, I don't care a ton about the actual value of the answer. I just want to know for each piece what the sign is, and then what would happen if I multiplied numbers that sign together. So if I'm using an x equals 0, and I have 0 minus 3, that'll be a negative. 0 plus 2 is a positive. And a negative times a positive, of course, is a negative. So every number in this region will be negative. We'll give a negative product. And then finally, same trick as before. Some number in this region over here, I'm going to pick, you could pick 4 or 5. I'm going to pick 1,000,000. 1,000,000 minus 3 is positive. 1,000,000 plus 2, also positive. A positive times a positive is positive. It's positive. So now what do we have? We wanted to know where this product was more than 0. That's the same thing as saying where is it positive. So that's going to be any place up above here where I've written a positive number. So that would be all of these spots and all of these spots. So that would be like the shading, if we were shading it. I don't know if this is looking for interval notation, but if we did, it'd be, this region was from -infinity up until -2. So it'd be open circle on -infinity, close bracket around -2. Come on. And then if you guys have learned this or not, we're going to unite that, or make the union with close circle on 3 up to infinity. You never put a square bracket around the infinities. So that's how that's going to go. Think about the sign stuff. It really just goes back to like your 7th grade, what happens if you multiply two numbers together, and it should go pretty well. Good luck.